Hello and welcome. My name is Sam, for those of you who haven't seen me before, and I'm a nutritional therapist, and my aim is to help women, particularly around the mid-years, to get through those menopause years as easily as possible and to go on and enjoy a long and healthy life. And that's my aim as well. So there's things I'm doing in these videos that I've wanted to try, and I want to share that with you as well. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit more on gut health, and I want to also show you how I make my own yogurt, which is a new thing for me, and it's incredibly easy. So this has all come about basically because I was buying a very well-known organic natural yogurt, and with all the price rises that have occurred, I haven't bought that for a couple of years because I found it was too expensive. I suppose in the greater scheme of things, it depends where you want to spend your money. But I felt it jumped so much, so quickly, I felt I couldn't really justify it. But I have now found an organic whole milk that I can utilise to make my own natural yogurt, pretty much for half the price. So my own organic natural yogurt, I should say, for half the price. So I wanted to share that with you because it is easy. My first one failed, mind you. And I think that was down to the fact I wasn't sure of the timings, and I heated the milk twice. I don't know whether that's why it failed or whether I'd left it too long in one position or another. But it's certainly successful now, so that's what I want to share with you. But I also wanted to talk about how gut health and hormones interact, and there is a clear change in our microbiome, our gut microbiome, as our hormones fluctuate. So this could be throughout life, but also there's a distinct change during menopause. And there's been a study done by, you may have heard of Zoe. They're all about the gut health and microbiome, and they've done a study, it was called the PREDICT study, of over 70,000 women to look at the type of gut bacteria, the diversity and the quantity in their guts, and how as they go through menopause that might change. But what we do know is our diet can influence our gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria can influence our hormone levels, and I'll explain how that can happen. But also our hormone fluctuation can impact our gut bacteria. So it's not a one-way system. There's all sorts of interactions, two-way systems. But I think it's really good that we know that and understand that. And there's a huge amount yet for the science to uncover and explain and really give us a better understanding. Now, you might think at this stage in our lives that science would have uncovered more, but historically a lot of the studies have been done on men, and a majority have been done on men. So information on females is still very lightweight. It's not enough. So it's getting better and better, and so it should be, because we are half the population, and so many people suffer as they go through these mid-years, and perhaps we needn't suffer. I certainly didn't suffer, which was a surprise for me. My anticipation was that I would, because of my hormone history, which I've done a video on if you want to go back and listen to that. But I went through the menopause really easily. But I attribute that to the fact I started studying nutrition over that period of peri-menopause, and I improved my nutrition, and I think that is why I went through it very easily. I can't say all my colleagues have done so as easily, but a lot have. So a lot of the nutritional therapists I know have gone through it without any major issue. So I think that's quite an interesting thing to keep in mind. It could be a lot to do with the diet to help support the hormones, to support the gut bacteria which influence the hormones, etc. So let's have a little look at what I've got here. I've probably told you the important parts already, I think. Yes, let's go into a little bit about our hormones. So when we produce hormones in our body, so when our ovaries produce hormones, when we're actually having menses, our menstrual cycle, the hormones should be utilised, and I'm talking about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone and all the hormones. They should be utilised to do the job they're there to do. And once that's done, they then go to the liver where we have the detoxification, well, main part of the detoxification system. And these active compounds are then bound to another compound to make them inactive. And our bodies detox our own compounds all the time. And then it goes into our bowels and we're supposed to poop it out. Now, there's a couple of things that can happen here. Number one, if your bowel movements are slow, there's an opportunity for those compounds to be reabsorbed into the gut, and they can be unbound by some of our gut bacteria. So our gut bacteria can release those compounds. They could go back into the bloodstream and go around and act somewhere where they're not supposed to be, because we do have receptors all over our body, and at the right time it's fine, but you know, we could have too much going around circulating, and I certainly did when I was going through my cycles. My symptoms were clearly associated with high levels of estrogen. So we should use it, package it and poop it out, but often it can recirculate because we've got slow bowel movement. So keeping a regular movement is important. Now, a lot of people think they have to have lots of high fibre and go for something like all bran. This is not the case. That can actually add to that traffic jam. And there's a lot of queries about some of the things we've been saying over the years. We need a mixture of these soluble and insoluble fibres. We need water and to help it all move through the system. Some people disagree with that. This is interesting, and I'll be interested to see where that goes. But what I also find is having that gap between meals, allowing the digestion to do its stuff. We have a lot of movement through the bowel when we're not eating. So it's important that we have these gaps between meals. I personally find stretching, a bit of yoga, that helps me. If I ever have an issue, and I historically have had an issue, which is why I've had some hormone imbalances. So that's good to know that we should get rid of them. So having a good gut function is important. Now, to support our gut bacteria, we need to have quite a diverse diet. So making sure we eat seasonal fruits and vegetables is helpful here. Having some legumes would be important here as well. So having quite a varied diet, and you can eat what we call probiotic foods and prebiotic foods. So probiotic foods are like the fermented foods, which actually can also be prebiotic as well, so it feeds the gut bacteria as well. So I've done a sauerkraut before, which is really good, but you could ferment any vegetable and you're going to get different different types of bacteria with different types of foods that you ferment. So these fermented foods can be incredibly useful to keep a diversity in our guts. And also, the other thing was, with these studies they've been doing, it wasn't just the diversity of the gut microbiome that changed with the hormones, it was also the numbers. So, we could have lower levels of certain ones with certain hormones and higher levels of others potentially. But the understanding of what these all mean is not yet fully understood, to my understanding anyway. So it's sort of watch this space. So let's get on and make some yogurt. You'll be surprised how easy it is, and it does take from, I'm just going to start today around about 4 o'clock, and it won't be ready until tomorrow morning around about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. But you don't have to do much, you don't have to work with it. So let's get started. So for this yogurt, all you need is your milk, and I've got it's a litre. I've got this from the supermarket. It's Graham's whole organic milk. Somewhere does it say that? Is this one organic? Oh gosh, I'm not sure if I picked up the organic one. But anyway, I'll go ahead and make it. So I picked this up in the supermarket. Look for the organic, because I've made a mistake here, I think, with this one. But anyway, and you also need a starter. So a small pot of 150 gram pot, you only need 50 grams for a litre. Let me double check that. Let's get my book. Yeah. Oh no, actually it's 50 millilitres to 1 litre. So that's all you need to get started. And you need a thermometer so you can actually test the temperature. So I've got this one. I can't remember where I bought this. I think my husband bought it for me actually. And so I check the temperature with this. So you'll need something to check the temperature of your milk. So what I'm going to do is pour this into my crock pot, a slow cooker. Let's open it up. So I use full fat there, and then put the lid on, and I can put it on low, and I've put it on for 2.5 hours, but it should, last time I did it, it took 2 hours to get up to temperature, and I want it to get up to 82 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature I'm looking for. And then I'll turn it off, and it should cool then. And for me, last time it took 2.5 hours to cool down to 43 degrees, which is when I add the actual starter. Now I've got my starter from my yogurt I made last week. So I'll just take that out of what I've already got. So week after week, I just have to buy the milk and just use my last week's yogurt to get it going. Now, whilst it's in here warming up for a couple of hours, sorry about my cold, I'll stir it occasionally just to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom, you get that little film on the bottom, and that's it. So I'm going to catch you up again in about 2 to 2.5 hours, and I'll just show you the temperature, and it's not rocket science. So I've just turned the crock pot off. We're just almost 2 hours, we're about 5 minutes short of 2 hours, but it's got up to temperature 82 degrees. So now I'm going to leave it to cool. Now, according to my notes, it cooled last time with 2.5 hours. So I will see you again in 2.5 when we add the starter, the existing yogurt. But yeah, I think it may vary depending on the weather as well. Obviously, there'll be some variation during winter and summer. But yeah, it took 2 hours to get up to temperature, and now it should take about 2.5 hours to cool. So we'll see you again. We'll probably be in 30 seconds for you. 2.5 hours for me. Take care. Hi, so it's now about 2.5 hours later. So it's been cooling, the milk's been cooling for about 2.5 hours. I've just tested it. It came in at 44, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next stage. So I've got my bowl on the scales, and I'm going to measure 50 millilitres of yogurt that I made last week. So give it a bit of a stir. There we go. And then what I need to do is stir in some milk from the pot here. So, got a ladle. And this sort of stirring it through this milk will help it disperse better once it goes into this pot here. There we go. actually thickening up already, I can feel it. Right, so I'm going to pour all of this in and stir it through. Got my wooden spoon. There we go. And then what I do now is I put the lid on and I get a towel and cover it. So I'll get the towel. And this is to keep it dark as much as anything, in the dark. And then I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave it overnight, but you can leave it between 9 and 12 hours, and by which time it should be thick, but we'll have a look again tomorrow morning. So I'm going to leave that now overnight, and I will actually put it in the dining room. It's 29 degrees in the kitchen today, which is warm. I've had, the range has been on, so I'm going to put it in the dining room, which is perhaps a little bit slightly cooler. So I think in here it's possibly a bit too warm, and we'll have a look again in the morning and see what it looks like. Good morning, it is now the next day, and I've just had a look at the yogurt and it's looking firm. It's looking very firm. What I want to do now is, you can eat it just as it is, or you could actually put it through a sieve, through a muslin cloth, and make Greek yogurt, which is what I prefer to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can show you first. I'll bring you over. So here it is. Now I'm trying to do this left-handed. Let's just see. So you can see there's some moisture still in here, but it's quite creamy. So I'm going to pop you back on the tripod and put it through the sieve. Right. So I've got a bowl, the sieve, and then the muslin cloth. I picked this up at the range. It's part of the Kilner range. It's also available in Dunelm and most likely online, but you can get muslin cloth pretty much, I was going to say anywhere. I don't think it is that easy anymore. Here we go. So all I'm doing is making a mess, popping it in the bowl, in the sieve, and this will last me for the week. Or should do. Oh, Molly, get down, get down. Unless the dogs have some. Molly does like a bit of yogurt. Oop, there we go. There, and I'll just leave that probably for about 15 minutes. I'll see how much whey comes away, and I'll catch up with you again in a moment when it's finished going through the sieve. So it's basically, I'm separating the curds from the whey. Well, my yogurt has been sitting in the strainer for probably 15 minutes now. It might be a tad longer. I didn't take a note of the time. And there's quite a bit of whey in the bottom of the bowl. I'll bring it to you, it's easier. You can see that whey, that sort of yellowy liquid. And I could leave it for longer, but I just thought I would scoop some out. It looks more like cottage cheese at the moment, but this is, I should use a different colour bowl. Let's do it here. There, that's it. So it could stay, I'm going to leave it a bit longer, but you can vary the time and get the consistency you want. And then all I'm going to do is put it in one of my glass dishes with a lid and put it in the fridge. And it should last 1 to 2 weeks in there. And the whey, you can use that in different ways. I haven't used mine yet. It's got to be said, I've still got some in the fridge which should be okay for another week. But you could use it as a starter for when you're doing fermented vegetables. Some people use it in baking instead of a milk. It can go on the compost. That's a possibility. And because it's got these sort of live bacteria in there, vitamins and minerals, you can actually add it to the dog food if they like it. It's quite tangy. And there's one suggestion I've read where you could leave it or use it to make ricotta, which I'll have to look into that, because that would be really useful, I think. I don't like wasting things, so I like to reuse them. I did see one mention of using it for skincare and hair care, just because of the acidity, wiping it over your face on a cotton pad or doing a rinse for your hair. So have a look online. There's so many ideas on how you can use the whey. And of course, if you want really thick yogurt, you just leave it as long as you want to strain to separate the whey from the curds. And it's as simple as that. It's just the time period and timing it when it comes to heating and cooling, because that's where I fell foul the first time. I had to go out, and so when I came back it was too cool, etc. So that's the hardest bit, but otherwise it's very simple. You just need the milk of your choice. Don't buy the wrong one like me. A thermometer to test the temperature, a bit of muslin cloth, and pretty much everything else you probably have at home anyway. So I hope that helps, and this is another way of supporting a healthy gut to help support a nice balance of hormones and a really just healthy body. So hope to see you soon. If you like the video, please share it with somebody who might benefit. Like and subscribe if you wish to, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.